Spirit, whatever we want to call it. In the Bible, the full name is I am that I am. And the thing that we want to recognize here is that it is within us, totally within us, that our life is the expression, the manifestation, the experience of this I am presence. It is always with us. It can never go anywhere else. And in our teaching, we talk about that this I am presence, besides being love and all of the qualities that we associate with it, is a principle. And a principle is something that cannot be swayed. It cannot be changed. It cannot be coerced. A principle is set, and we can count on it to do its thing and do it perfectly. We also want to know that this universe, this principle, listens, is really there to give us what we proclaim. It also doesn't necessarily recognize the word don't. The word don't doesn't seem to process. All the other words around it does. So I wanted to tell you a little story, share a story about a little girl that illustrates this point. She was dressed in her Sunday best. She was running as fast as she could, trying not to be late for Sunday school. As she ran, she prayed, "Dear God, please don't let me be late. Please don't let me be late." As she was running and praying, she tripped on a curb and fell, getting her clothes dirty and tearing her dress. She got up, brushed herself off, and started running again. As she ran, she once again prayed, "Oh God, please don't let me be late, but you don't have to shove me either." What, of course, she was really telling the universe is, I'm going to be late. That was really what her energy was doing. And in that motion, in that energy of that awareness is, I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late, I'm going to be late. Other than I don't want to be late. It's not processing. She was affirming lateness. And when she was doing that, where was she? She was out there somewhere. She was not being in the moment. She was not being mindful. She was not being present. That's when we stumble. That's when we get tripped up. God didn't shove her. She did it herself. How many times do we do this to ourselves? How many times do we, I don't want to do this, I don't want to be late. Where are my keys? I don't know where my keys are. I can't find, whatever it is. That dialogue that is going through our heads is being listened to, is being responded to. And one of the very first things that we can do is what? To be aware. To stop and just step back and notice. Oh, guess what? I guess I'm feeling a little anxious right now. I'm not really feeling like I've got this all together. There's something going on here that I am not trusting. So we do what we did in our spiritual centering and in the song. We take a deep breath. And we allow ourselves to come back to the present moment, to the right here and the right now, knowing that this God presence is where I am. That I am this energy of allness, this energy of infinite being. I am this energy of love in expression. There are times, I don't think I'm the only one, when I get this angst feeling out of nowhere sometimes. I really don't know why or what's happening, but I feel a disconnect. And it's nebulous. And so when I do that, I just feel out of sorts. I just feel like, I'm on shaky ground or something. And it's amazing. It's so cool because many times I will audibly hear the words, "I am with you always." I am with you always. And I stop and go, oh yes, of course. That's right. The I am hasn't gone anywhere. Perhaps my head and my brain and my feelings and my emotions have, but it hasn't. And what a comforting thought to be able to be drawn back to that knowing that I am with you always. In the Cherokee tradition, the rite of passage for a young Cherokee boy involves having his father take him into the forest, blindfolding him, and leaving him alone. The boy is required to sit on a stump the whole night and not remove the blindfold until the rays of the morning sun shine through it. He cannot cry out for help to anyone. Once he survives the night, he is a man. He cannot tell the other boys of this experience because each must come into manhood on their own. The boy is naturally terrified. He can hear all kinds of noises. Wild beasts must surely be all around him. Maybe even some human might do him harm. The wind may blow the grass and the earth and shake the stump, but he must sit stoically, never removing the blindfold. It is the only way he can become a man. Finally, after a horrific night, the sun appears and he removes his blindfold. It is then that he discovers his father sitting on the stump next to him. He has been at watch the entire night, protecting him from any harm. We are never alone. We are always protected. We are never left on our own. We have to be open and receptive to allow this presence to guide us, to give us all of these gifts that it has. Now, granted, there are times when we are like that Cherokee boy and we feel like we're blindfolded and we are in a situation that we're not sure about, that we are concerned, what am I going to do? How is this going to come out? In those times, we need to remember to be aware and remember what our true identity is. To know that every thought is a prayer and it is powerful. And so when we have something that comes up we're not sure about, we can always go back to knowing that I'm never alone. The I am is always with me. I am accessing this power and this presence, and we can come up with whatever mantra suits us for that moment. I am capable. If it's with some sort of a relationship, I communicate clearly and strongly. I am compassionate. Whatever the situation is, we want to claim our good is here now in those positive words, because that's, well, the universe will respond to us. We, in our prosperity class, are doing our personal inventory. I hope all of you have been working on that, doing your personal inventory. And it was interesting because you have to write down, it gives you, kind of guides you into what you should write down, and you're supposed to express, some certain things about yourself, that qualities, things that you've done that perhaps weren't your best at the time, but to get it out there so that it can be examined and it can be released then. But one of the things it says, I'm afraid. What are you fearful of? Well, one of the things that I am fearful of, that I have experienced fear about, is technology. That I have this thing that, oh gosh, I'm not quite sure if I'm going to do this right. I'm afraid, I'll do something wrong in technology. I just have to say that I've had that experience. And sure enough, On Friday at my work place, I was on a phone call with my boss, and we were talking about something that was going on. He goes, okay, I think we need to call this customer right now, and the three of us need to be on the phone. Do you know how to do a conference call? No, I don't know how to do a conference call. He said, okay, write this down. I'll tell you explicit instructions. This is how you do it. You know, you push this button, you push that button. I wrote it all down. Then when I went to do it, I got flustered, I got fearful, and I screwed it up. And now I'm pushing all the buttons like, what am I doing? I totally lost myself. And I got the boss back on again, no, I didn't. No, what happened is the customer answered the phone, and the boss wasn't there. I hung up the phone. So then I get the boss back on the phone, and he goes, I said, you weren't there. He goes, did you do what I told you to do? The very last thing you did, Kay, did you push this button? Tell me, did you push that button again? I said, no, I didn't. I said, okay, and then I thought, Gay, this is ridiculous. I mean, come on. Suck it up, breathe in, and I told myself, I am capable. I can do this. Let me try it again. I will try it again. I read my instructions, push this, looked at the next one, push that. Boom, everybody was on the call at the same time. Thank you, God. This is just a little thing in life, really, you know? But it's an example of what happens to us when we let that fear, and it's a habit, you know, that somewhat kind of gets ingrained in us, because I knew what I was supposed to do. Why didn't I just look at the directions to begin with? But I had this thought deep down within me that I was not capable, you know, that I couldn't do this somehow. And so again, what we're doing is we're bringing this up to the surface. It's revealed to be healed, to let it go. And the universe will give us opportunity to practice, just like setting up a conference call, you know? And so be ready for that. Know that we are responsible for our lives. We can't put a blame on anybody else. It's not there. Part of this inventory process is to forgive, you know, ourselves and to forgive others. That's a basis of this human experience, is the fact that we are evolving, we're growing, we're learning. I'm learning. You know, when my little 14-month-old granddaughter, who still hasn't decided she's going to walk on her own, when she, you know, loses her balance and falls over, I doubt that she reprimands herself. Sometimes it's better to remember that in a way we're like toddlers too. Whatever the situation is, if we're not fully capable of knowing exactly what to do, it's okay. We can learn, we can grow. We can be this infinite experience and expression to allow ourselves to grow. It doesn't matter what's happening in our life, we all know this, but our response to it that counts. That every thought, every word, every deed is a prayer. Watch your words. Be so totally aware of what you are saying after I am. The universe is listening. It's caring. We can't depend on anybody else but ourselves, honestly. And we are enough. Oh my gosh. Don't you feel that? That beautiful infinite energy is within us? My goodness. We are all capable of being this fantastic being. But it takes awareness, it takes responsibility, it takes a self-disciplined, do-it-yourself job within. And it reminds me of the new serenity prayer. It says, God, grant me the serenity to accept the person I cannot change, the courage to change the person I can, and the wisdom to know that that person is me. We're the only one that can change ourselves. I wanted to share with you a poem by Anonymous. I got up early one morning and rushed right into the day. I had so much to accomplish, I didn't have time to pray. Troubles just tumbled about me, and heavier came each task. Why doesn't God help me, I wondered. God answered, you didn't ask. I tried to come into God's presence. I used all my keys at the lock. God gently, lovingly chided, why, child, you didn't knock. I wanted to see joy and beauty, but the day toiled on gray and bleak. I called on the Lord for the reason. He said, you didn't seek. I woke up early this morning and paused before entering the day. I had so much to accomplish that I just had to take time to pray. So important that we center ourselves literally at the very beginning of the day, getting ourselves in that right alignment with that one power, that one presence, that one energy that is all love, that is all joy, that is all beauty, and set ourselves in its presence as it. Expect it to be filtered through, demonstrated through everything we do that day. We have the ability, we have the responsibility to claim what it is we want. What is it that you want to do in your life? I know in our prosperity class we're setting our intentions, and that we have in our prayer group, each person in our prayer group is praying for the other one to know that this is now established for them. If you don't have a prayer group, get a prayer partner. Get someone to enlist, to know the truth for you. We have practitioners in about us that know that. That's what we do. Ask. Seek. When we ask, it is given. When we seek, it is given. Do you believe that? Do you think that happens in life?
All the time.
All the time. All the time. And so many times what happens is we're astonished by it, aren't we? When something fantastic happens, we'll go, oh my gosh, how did that happen? Well, duh. You were in the flow. You were in the flow. It's like when, speaking of flow, it thought of me about traffic. How many times when we're in traffic and we have a certain destination that we want to be at a certain time and we don't want to be late, and then traffic happens. Something's going on. At that moment, at that point, we have the ability to respond with right judgment. Okay, this isn't happening the way I expected, that I wanted, that I verbally told myself at the beginning, I'm going to do this and this and this. We have the ability to respond in a different manner. I can make a decision to go another way. I can make a decision to stop here. I'm in traffic anyway. I can say my I am prosperous 100 times and get my homework done for the day. I can sit and say everything is clearing around me. Whatever the case might be, we have this ability to go back to this center, to this source, to this love that is always encouraging us. Yeah, it might give us a challenge. Are we up for it? Yes. Thank you. Yes, we are up for it because we are infinite beings living this wonderful life, this gift of life that we have been given, that we're going to be doing it our own perfect, unique way. What a joy. What an absolute joy to be here, to share this divine energy with others. And we know that when we share our divine energy of love and joy, what happens? It multiplies. It multiplies. Tiny little things that we do, and we have no effect, we have no recognition or realization of what that little ripple might do. Literally. I don't know how many times when I'm taking my walks, and I'll see a little tiny piece of paper, something on the ground, and I'll have this little voice say, pick that up. Sometimes I think I ought to take an extra grocery bag with me to be able to put the things in there, like if I see more than one. Little things like that. Now, how do I know what the value in that is, or what the ultimate result of doing that one tiny little thing is? But when there's something in my head that says, do it, let's do it. That's why we have this physical body. If we didn't have this physical body, we could think all wonderful things and everything would just be fabulous, but we wouldn't experience it on this earth plane. We have to do it. Listen to that guidance and absolutely trust it. Ask, seek, knock for what you want. For what you want to experience, not for what you don't want. You are powerful. You are capable. You are love in expression. Let it out. Let it be joyous. Let it multiply. That's what the world needs. It needs you to do what only you can do in your perfect, unique way. So get out and do it. Be that love that you are. Namaste.